saw it with, heck, even when the RX 480 came out and the 580 and the 590 and all that, and the 5700 XT, we saw all those products go out of stock. But it took a lot longer to get there, because not only are we seeing what companies tend to bank on typical supply, right? They look at previous launches and they say, well, how many sold? How many did we make? What's the yields? It's a balancing act. You don't want to overproduce and have a warehouse full of stuff not moving. That's all loss. And guess what? We're towards the end of the year. The last thing they want is a giant warehouse full of stuff not moving because they pay taxes on that. Same thing with retailers. So it's a juggling game on how much you produce. Well, I believe they produced based on previous numbers sold. But what was grossly underestimated was the demand that we were going to see, the amount of buyers that we were going to see. I hate when people do the whole, on a source not authorized to comment, and then they proceed to give a comment, and it's like, well, you can take that with a grain of salt. Take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt as well, but I can tell you, I've talked to some sources that clearly are not going to allow me to say who they are, that there was about 10 times the expected people buying these than what was expected. 10 times what they've seen in the past. And that's because of the craziness that we're seeing here with 2020 in terms of the stay-at-home orders, people building their own, upgrading their rigs because they're like, well, I'm stuck at home, might as well enjoy some games and stuff. People getting into computers for the first time at a time when computers were already more popular than they've ever been. So you take the popularity that we saw of computer gaming, PC gaming, consoles even, because of live streaming now, and you compound that with the amount of people now just bored at home and wanting to upgrade, it made the situation even worse. Now let's fast forward to AMD's launch, because NVIDIA, as you guys know, is still about 30 days behind in terms of availability. What do you mean by that is if you pre-order a card from a manufacturer, EVGA, Gigabyte, whatever, it takes about 30 days to get that order filled, which is not good, but at least you're seeing orders make their way. And remember, the manufacturers can only build as fast as NVIDIA is supplying them the chips that they need to stick on. The manufacturer can build everything on this board but the core. They are at the mercy of when they receive the cores from NVIDIA. AMD, on the other hand, what makes this launch worse, in my opinion. And here we go. Jay's such an NVIDIA fanboy. No, I am a gaming PCMR, PC-loving fanboy. I want everyone, whether it be AMD or NVIDIA, to build computers, share it with your family, get your kids involved, play games, learn coding, do whatever you want to do on a computer. It makes you smarter, in my opinion. Or in some cases, dumber, but that's neither here nor there. What we saw here was a promise. Frank, whatever his name is, he's an AMD marketing guy, even bet someone $10 that there's going to be plenty of availability for everyone. Well, here's where AMD royally screwed up. One, NVIDIA launched the FE and the AIB cards simultaneously. Yes, there was a different embargo date for the reviews. However, if you went to a store to buy one, whether it was a place that sold FE or AIBs, you had the full inventory to hope that most people unfortunately didn't get their hands on. AMD thought it was good to have an 18th launch for their design, and then wait until the 25th for the AIB sales to happen. So there's already a delay there in terms of availability. Yes, you're seeing MSI and Gigabyte and XFX and all those cards that look like this guy, and then they have their logos on the fans and such, and then they have a box that says MSI, but it's just rebranded this, which is the way it was done for many years on both brands. So what we're seeing right here is a really weird, staggered launch. As we kind of watch the way this launch is unfolding, we're seeing companies like B&H Photo. You've got Memory Express up in Canada, which is one of the biggest PC retailers up there. Brands all over the place putting out statements this morning. I think they learned from the NVIDIA launch. Don't blame us that we don't have these. Blame the manufacturer, because we can only sell what we get, right? They're putting out these statements saying, we didn't get any, we don't know if we're getting any, and we're not doing pre-orders because the communication between AMD and us is so poor, we can't sell you something we don't know if we're ever gonna get. Not to mention, if you have no sort of logistics information, you have no idea how many you're gonna get, how would they know how many to pre-sell? So I think that they're doing the right thing by at least putting out a statement saying, hey, we don't have any. Maybe if they knew that ahead of time, they should have, maybe said it, I think, ahead of time. I don't know what kind of repercussions there would have been if they announced before the launch that, hey, AMD didn't send us any. That way those people trying to buy them wouldn't have wasted time refreshing a website that never had them, right? So that kind of sucks. If B&H is your go-to and you're F5ing and the site's down and you're getting 404 or 502, depending on what part of the world you live in, and you're F5ing and then finally it goes in, you're out of stock, or you see the statement, I don't have it, you just wasted all your time there where you could have gone somewhere else and at least bettered your chances of finding it. I feel like they're doing like ass covering, if you will, to say this isn't our fault. We don't have any. Micro Center has been very forthcoming with people in their physical locations. You can only buy them in the store, which I love that about Micro Center, by the way, that you're there, you're in line. We've seen this multiple times now with the 3080 launch, the 3090 launch, and the 5000 series CPUs, that the people that show up at Micro Center are very good at creating their own little system of who's going to get what. Micro Center comes out and says, here's our vouchers, here's how many we have, you divvy them up, and then there's yourself. But we're seeing like, my Micro Center only got 10, and only 2 of those were 6800 XTs. My Micro Center only got 5. My Micro Center only got 7. And I'm seeing Micro Center over and over and over, and I think that's because AMD is obviously a big partner with Micro Center in terms of build your own parts. Their build your own department, obviously they're huge in sales. You want to get an idea of how many cards are available for NVIDIA? Now remember, NVIDIA, and I know that people are NVIDIA fanboy. Now I'm giving you the numbers that were told to us. NVIDIA, yes, included AIBs. Our Tustin Micro Center got 80 3080s. A lot. It's really not a lot, but they got 80. Versus, I don't know how many this time around. It's actually the one Micro Center I didn't really hear from. But people are sending me their responses all over the country this morning of where they were and how many they had. The most I saw was 10. Had they had AIBs, that number might have been closer to a 50 or 100 or more. But here's the thing. This launch was also compounded by the fact that AMD did something which I think is even slimier than the separation of AIB sales. And that is the fact that if you're a part of AMD's Red Team, not the same as Red Team Plus, by the way. Red Team Plus was a very biased, incentivized influencer campaign that they had internally, where they would take small creators and make them put AMD badges on their stuff and go out and like rah rah shish and blah AMD everywhere they went, whether they liked the product or not. They had to. We won't get into that, but let's just say that there was some really just dirty stuff that took place in Red Team Plus. Red Team is what they're calling their community. They put out links to community members, giving them the opportunity to buy this card before it went on sale to the general public. Now here's my problem with that. A lot of people would say they're supporting their supporters. What's wrong with that? It's not fair. Gee, the world isn't fair. Trust me, I know. I tell my kids that all the time. But we're talking about marketing. We are talking about sales. We're talking about favoritism. And that's my problem with this here. Is the idea, at least it could be twisted, that the reason why AMD is giving their community members early access to it is it kind of serves a couple of purposes. Hardware Connect put out a tweet that I wholeheartedly agree with, in that this helps them control the narrative of paper launch. Because I feel like there's a crazy double standard happening here, in that if NVIDIA was a paper launch, with day one availability being higher, I don't care if AIB is separate or not, we are talking day one, this is exactly how the launches go, those are facts, not opinions. NVIDIA had far more availability on day one than AMD. So does that make AMD a paper launch? I think the best term I heard is that it's a vapor launch, actually. Someone said it was a vapor launch. You can see right through it, yeah. How many cards were actually sold to people ahead of time? If we're talking card availabilities in the tens at retailers, how many were actually bought by the community members? We have no idea. The source that shared the link and the screenshot and all that sort of stuff is protected, because obvious reasons. But it's funny because Red Team Plus, which all they did was drop the plus, would have in the past been known to then take these cards and hype them up and just promote as much as possible because it's incentivized. They would have probably received the cards for free or at least heavily discounted, and it would have been a form of AMD.
Padre's car. Am I driving? Am I driving you? Maybe not. Oh, sorry.
So where to?
The Glen. Drop me off at Embers.
Front door?
Take the ramp back of the bar.
This guy looks like,
Show you where to
what's
stop.
his name? Danny Trejo. This looks like a bald machete. I fuck with it.
Your return to NC has been good. Busy already?
Dude.
I'll pick up something here and there. Nothing major.
This is so
But I'm getting by.
freaking
Appreciate the
insane.
concern.
So, Atlanta didn't turn out like you expected, huh?
Went there without expectations, actually. Well, except that it'd be better than here. It
I wish I could
wasn't-
sit in the front seat and see
Maybe
more.
it'll all work out for the best.
Dude. This is so insane. I can't get over it. I'm getting chills. It's giving me freaking chill. And the music's so good already too. Which reminds me, I should probably look for that DMCA. Where you can turn off the copyrighted music sound. Disable copyright music. On. Mute detection sounds. Okay. Glad I remembered that. I know that some people were reporting that some of the songs, even with that mode enabled, are getting copyright striked and stuff. So I think it was when you do the first two brain dance moves. So I'll have to remember to turn all sounds off.
What's going on?
Or all music off once we reach that point. Danny, what's happening? I don't like the look of this. This guy has weird hair.
Sebastian Ibarra. Looks like it's my
That's not
lucky
even here.
day
What do you want?
to settle our biz once and for all. Got an offer for you, Patty, so listen up. Get the fuck out of Vista. Pull your boys off the street.
Well, at
I'll
least
give
he
you
asked
the
nicely.
Glen. Done deal. No more restless nights. See how generous I can be? Well, Patty,
One more
what's-
fucking word.
stay out of this. I don't know you.
And I don't know you, which means you're worth shit around here and capable of even less. Well,
Damn.
anything else?
She's
It
kind of a
seems our
badass.
conversation has come to a close.